A brand new hotfix released this week for Bedrock, and there's a good reason you probably haven't noticed, or if you have, it's for negative reasons, like for this comment, or indeed Young Dagger goes even further, saying this update caused lots of bugs, and here's a fun example of one. These posts come from the IBX Toycat subreddit, and today I want to highlight some of the best posts from the last month there after we explain exactly what's inside the brand new Bedrock update, and indeed how it is that it seemingly has caused bugs for people despite ostensibly being an update that's meant to fix them. Because yes, 1.20 1.61 came out on the 19th of February, and they claimed it was released to address a few issues of the 1.20 1.60 release, and what's interesting is the changelog itself actually has a mistake on it, and it's something I only noticed because I was going to make this video showing you the new version, 1.20 1.61, versus the old 1.20 1.60, and while I was playing around with 1.20 1.60, I noticed that this line on the changelog just wasn't true. So this is 1.20 1.60, you can tell which version we are from the bottom right of the main menu screen, but just to keep things simple for this video, I'll show you an oak when we're playing this version, and a dark oak when we're playing the new version. So on this version, when we go to create a new world, theoretically, according to that bug fix, we should be able to play easy or peaceful, and then go to cheats, and keep inventory should be enableable. But it actually is not. There is no way to enable it on any difficulty, so there wasn't a bug with being able to turn this on that they fixed, or if there is, by turning on cheats, turning on keep inventory, then turning off cheats, it does technically work, you'll find that this actually is the same on the old version. So if we switch right over to our Xbox right now, this is on 1.20 1.61, if you want to see the proof, here it is in the bottom right of the screen. So now when we go to play, and we go to create new world, we can do the exact same thing, but they supposedly have just fixed in here, which makes me think this wasn't actually the intended line on the bug fix. So I can enable cheats, and then I can enable keep inventory, then disable cheats, and now I have keep inventory, even though I'm officially not supposed to. And so, yeah, they actually haven't fixed this, and what's really interesting is this, you don't need to actually research and play the game to find this out. If you click the bug on the Minecraft changelog, you'll see that this actually refers to a very different issue. It refers to keep inventory sometimes randomly turning itself off, and so whoever wrote the changelog misread the bug. It was keep inventory keeps turning off, not keep inventory keeps turning on, and so, I don't know, just a very interesting fact is that there are only 7 things on this changelog. I guess actually 6 if you exclude the little text at the top. There's 6 things on this changelog, and one of them isn't written correctly, and the other ones are very, very hard to test on either version. But yeah, I'm mostly here in both the old and the new version of Minecraft to show you something fun, and that is that if I want to join a world, I'll join Editor Amble's realm right here. He is someone who works on the channel, and he has a realm I've showcased before, but I can join this same world on 1.20 1.61. Look, it's rainy, I've got my comfort food, and honestly, it's a lovely place to be. But what's interesting and really surprising to a lot of people who are familiar with Java versions, where you have to play on the exact same version all of the time, is the fact that I can now go back a version, or indeed I could join on that version if it wasn't the same account, but you can play on the same worlds and the same servers with older versions. So here we are in Oak Tree Minecraft, and what's interesting is here we are. Exactly the same world and exactly the same place. I can even switch back and forth between the two versions if, say, on my PC I have the old version and on my Xbox I have the new one, and if I were playing on 2 different accounts, I'd be able to join the same world at the same time. Again, if you're a Java player, this is witchcraft. How are you playing with someone from an older version? The Java version, Java Edition gets very upset when you play any minor difference between updates, which is why they're more hesitant to release them there, whereas on Bedrock they can release hotfixes as often as they like, and indeed we've gone up to like 1.19.84 before. I'm pretty sure that's what they called that update. But yeah, you might find it really interesting that we've gone up to so many hotfixes, because the Bedrock version of the game has minor updates, kind of like Java does, to add things like armadillos or to add the Garden Awakens, but also on Bedrock we have the more minor updates or hotfixes, and these can be played by players who don't have the hotfixes, which means that in theory there can be people who have issues. Like right now, I could be having issues shooting a hoglin while someone could be playing on the same version of the game not having those issues. How does that make any sense? Well, basically it's because all of the changes they make in hotfixes are meant to be minor version changes, and so unless they are wildly fundamental, it shouldn't break the world. It should just follow the host's rules, and everyone else can know that that's how the world logic is going to work. However, this also highlights one of the issues that Minecraft Bedrock has, because it simply uses the host's version of the game to determine what the server should be, and when you join that host, in this case it's a realm, so it's a remote host somewhere on the other side of the world. But usually when you join someone's world, you're connecting to their version of the game, and that works because their version of the game is running as a server. Not just the moment you join it, but even when you don't. When I'm playing on a world by myself, even when it's offline and I'm not connected to the internet in any sense of the word, my Minecraft is running a server. This is something weird that they actually updated the Java edition of the game to do as well. It simply makes the multiplayer experience for Minecraft so much simpler if you just always run the game as if it's on a server, because that way when people do join it, you're already treating it like it's a server. By the way, you are now Toycat. Hope you enjoy that title, friend. This is the real live copy of Amble's Realm, so one day he's gonna come across a chicken called Toycat, and he's not gonna know why. Don't show him this video, everyone. Crucially though, running the server separate to the client means that there is always a small issue, just like when you connect to any server, that there is a slight disconnection. And this can lead to, all of a sudden, the server catching up in a violent way. This is what happens when your game disconnects from the server and then the server decides to catch up all at once. Obviously very sad, but what can also happen is the server can catch up by instead ignoring all of the actions that last occurred since you connected, which explains this. This is the explanation for about 90% of weird Bedrock moments. When something seems like there's no way it should be coded to happen that way, it's because of a client-server desync. And so did this start happening more after the most recent update? Honestly, the answer seems to be no. There's a chance that they altered something, but the truth is these pour in at a very regular rate because there are lots of Minecraft Bedrock players, and crucially, the reason this happens more than it does on Java, where the exact same issue occurs, is not just due to coding. I'm sure that has some impact, but it's also due to the fact that Minecraft Java has much higher requirements than Bedrock. Indeed, if you take the same PC that's just about capable of running Java on the lowest render distance, you can probably run a much higher one on Bedrock, but the catch to that is that some of that performance might be lost if the server desyncs, and so these are the sorts of issues that will happen on low-end devices, the mobile phones and the last-gen consoles, and that is particularly why, if you look at some of these clips, I'll just use the example from the start of this video, take a note of the fact that he has PlayStation buttons on screen. Keep in mind, you can turn those off at any time, so there are lots of console players that we don't see with the buttons, but the number of these clips that appear from phones and appear from last-gen consoles is shockingly high, and I guess that's something that Minecraft needs to work on, which is maybe a big part of the push to improve minimum performance requirements, because if you have to assume that this server needs to run on 768 megabytes of RAM, you can't code it as efficiently as if it runs on more. Ideally, you would make it so that the code scales, but I think that that is the issue affecting Minecraft Bedrock right now, and so what is the fix to all of these issues? Can they magically roll out a hotfix or a minor update or even a major update that fixes it? Well, sadly, the answer seems like it is no. And speaking of no, that's the exact opposite of what you'll find if you go to r/IBXToycat. We have accidentally built a little bit of a community over there recently, and I figured one of the things that YouTubers like to do with their subreddits is do a bit of a subreddit review, so I figured I would share some of the best posts from the last month right here. So let's go through and let's share the 10th one here. This is 4900 Days of Minecraft. I asked people if they wanted to share their long-term survival worlds and have other long-term survival world enjoyers appreciate it, to post them on there, and here you can see an absolutely beautiful world. I especially love this partially destroyed Minecraft logo. I don't know why, that just invokes some feelings in me that are real good. We also have from Subject Brush 6811, another quick build in avoidance of a larger project, and ignoring my feelings on random lanterns floating with trapdoors around them. I don't know what they're meant to look like, because they don't look like anything to me. I do think this is a really important thing to have in your worlds. If you're feeling creative and your big project has a big slob, drool, I guess like a slog in it, I'm combining the words slob and drool there, but a slog in it that you just don't want to get through, having something small to creatively work on can be important. And indeed, I think the inverse can be true sometimes, like just having a big project to like grind away at while you turn off your brain and listen to a podcast or video can be really fun too. We then have I Found Silence, and I've got to say congratulations, but also look at this, chat. This is I'm calling you chat, I'm sorry, comments, but yeah, look at this. This is what an inventory is meant to look like. It is the ideal optimized form. Think about it this way: you wouldn't only use 10% of your brain and say you were smart. No, you want to use 99% of your brain. If you're not using 99% of your inventory, it's wasted. I'm gonna stick to that. That's definitely true. Then we've got Toy Cat's house, but not in Minecraft. Also looking very nice. Repulsive Aid 7489. And then I finally completed it, and it's someone talking about making a beacon netherite, and I like that they were really candid about the process. They were like, yeah, they built a they built this giant thing, and it's very lovely, don't get me wrong, but they also say, yeah, this has been an adventure. Mining 4K blocks was great to just listen to music or watch YouTube, but that ultimately they didn't find it fun or enjoyable, and I thought that was really cool to see on the subreddit. Like, someone just admitting, like, yeah, this is a flex to have, but it's not a fun process, and that's an important thing to remind yourself when you see the big sense of accomplishment on YouTube, that you might not necessarily enjoy the process. It's great to get inspiration, I think, from many sources, but you don't have to see it as I have to build something this big or this crazy. Build a tiny boat. Build a netherite beacon out of that's only 3 deep, or build it out of any other resource, because a beacon still puts you in the top, like 1.4% of players or whatever. Ultimately, just remember that you can build however you'd like to, and if you'd like to, then consider sharing that build on the IBX Toycat subreddit, because I love seeing these sorts of, real survival posts, because ultimately that's the community we have here on this channel. I love the things that make it possible to have what people are nowadays calling a forever world, but the long-term survival is something I love, and I love seeing your updates as much as I love sharing mine. Speaking of love, I hope that from this video you learned about how bug fixes work on Bedrock, the interesting way that you don't need to have them enabled. Again, this was frustrating. I had to play Java recently for Realm Review, but yeah, one of the interesting things about the bug fixes that you might not have realized is that, yeah, they don't really have an impact on the biggest bug of Minecraft Bedrock, which is the server client issue. I hope that this is one of those annoying things where I learned about it, and it's a little bit disheartening, because you're like, oh, so it's a very, very huge fundamental issue that's going to be very hard to fix. But I also think that sharing that knowledge with you means that the next time you see these big bugs, you'll understand, like, oh, it's not a Bedrock bug that can affect me. If you're playing on a decently powered device, say a current-gen console that isn't a Switch, or you're playing on a high-end phone or a medium-end PC, the truth is you're not going to run into these issues ever, if at all. And even though that sucks, because if you are playing on a PlayStation 4 still, if you are playing on a low-end phone, you might run into these issues more. At least you'll know that it's even more important for you to back up your devices. And so hopefully explaining this was useful, because ultimately that's what I like to do on this channel, is share information, sometimes to the detriment of my own videos. But I hope that you learned from my information sharing today, because I'll see you in the next one. If you're curious as to why I'm wearing the red shirt, by the way, it's because I'm going to a one of those ride in a bull thing. So I've got myself a cowboy hat, obviously, a very relevant cowboy hat, because if you think about it, if being in a country for a long time makes you more of that thing, if being in America for 100 years is more American than arriving today, not that I'm saying that's true, but if that is true, the oldest Americans are the people who do this, and so yeehaw, I'm going to a cowboy show tonight. Maybe I'll have to include a clip of that in the Q&A tomorrow. But for now, thank you for watching, and for supporting the channel, and hopefully you learned some new things, because I'll see you next time. Bye!